And then one with my John for social media. Yeah, for sure. No worries. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rally. You might have two, so don't be afraid to ask your out.
Hey, Autumn. Okay. So you're
Here you go. Ready?
We're getting all the legislators, right?
Oh yeah.
I wonder if I could get their attention if we could do a quick one before we just start.
Just a quick hi.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm on live.
Oh, crap.
But we're on live, so say hi. Woo! Yay! That works great.
Who's our photographer?
Dylan.
Where is Dylan?
I don't know. He's around. Hi there.
Let me grab my camera.
Where's Matt?
Good afternoon. Who here is ready to rally for Bring It Home, Minnesota? Fantastic to see you all this beautiful Tuesday afternoon here on the steps of our state's capital. My name is Justin Lewandowski with Beacon Interfaith Housing Collaborative. Before we begin today, as we gather to advocate for home, it's important that we respectfully acknowledge the sacred homeland upon which this building and every existing structure around us was built upon. That land was stolen from the Dakota tribal nations, unfairly ceded in the treaties of 1837 and 1851, and this land was stewarded for a millennia by those folks. St. Paul has always been a gathering place for indigenous peoples, and we acknowledge that this land is the traditional and the ancestral homelands of the Dakota, Ojibwe, Ho-Chunk, Cheyenne, Anishinaabe, Oto, and other indigenous nations. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm tribal sovereignty and hold ourselves accountable to recognize and counter the historical and contemporary injustices that continue to impact indigenous peoples. We hold this action here as a way of honoring our indigenous brothers, sisters, and siblings as we strive for liberation of every oppressed person. Thank you all again for coming out on this beautiful day as we lift up our voices and our values and a vision of Minnesota where all people have a home. Today we will be hearing from a few of our legislative champions, leaders from our growing statewide coalition, and storytellers who have experienced the housing crisis firsthand. To start us off today with the grounding, I'm honored and excited that we are starting today's rally with some opening remarks from someone who I'm honored to work alongside of every single day. Please put your hands together for Rabbi Ricky Camel, everybody.
We bring this community together into a sacred congregation with a purpose. That purpose is to be bold. That purpose is to lead our nation and establish housing as a right. That purpose is to build our power and to tell all of our legislators with whom we work to be courageous and to pass Bring It Home, Minnesota. We are in a holy time of year with our Christian, Muslim, and Jewish brothers and sisters. However, no matter our faith, we know the importance of being bold and courageous. Whether it's the boldness of Sadaqah and giving charity in this holy month of Ramadan, the courage of Shifra and Pua, two midwives who refused to do what was ordered because they understood justice, and without whom there would be no Passover story. Or the boldness of seeing and creating light even in dark times, as emphasized by the Easter holiday. Or the strength of any of our religious traditions, holding firm on our values that everyone have a home. In this spirit, I offer this blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten la'ayat koach. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who gives us courage and boldness. And chazak, chazak, v'nit chazak. Let us take our power, our strength, take that to those who lead us, and bring them to be bold and to make it so that all people have a home, to which we say, Amen.
Welcome everyone. So my name is Ben Helvig Anderson and I work at Beacon. I'm here just to ground us and tell us what we're going to do today at this rally. So we are here to celebrate, to acknowledge, and to commit. We're celebrating because we are pushing the most transformative housing policy that's being pushed at the Capitol today. Bring It Home, Minnesota is fighting so that everyone gets the rent support they deserve. Not just a few waiting in a line, but everyone. And we know that 550,000 Minnesotans are struggling to pay their rents every month, and we want that to stop. We are celebrating today because our push during this legislative session has built momentum, and we have gotten the farthest we have ever gotten with this bill. How many of you, yes, let's celebrate that. How many of you, raise your hands, have taken action or visited a legislator or done something this legislative session to try to make this bill happen? Yes! We have gotten this far because of all of you and because of all of our legislative champions who are here today. So I'm going to thank them quick. Hopefully I get you all. And so we have, of course, Michael Howard, who's going to speak here with us. Representative Michael Howard, and Senator Kerry Dietzig, who's our chief author in the Senate. Michael Howard is our chief author in the House. We have Representative Esther Abaje, Representative Liz Ryer, Representative Andrew Carlson, Representative Emery Greenman, Representative Jamie Long, Representative Jimmy Cleavorn, Representative Frank Hornstein, Representative Todd Lippert, Representative Bierman, Representative Berg, and Representative Jim Dabney. Thank you all for being huge champions of this bill this year. We also want to acknowledge that we have 34 partner organizations working on this bill and working for the Bring It Home Minnesota campaign. They're listed on some boards back here that keep blowing over, but they're here, and I know many of you are here from there. Thank you for being a part of this. So we are celebrating our progress, but we also need to acknowledge our frustration, right? Despite the $9 billion surplus, Bring It Home Minnesota wasn't included in the budget bills moving forward this year. Ooh, right? I'm angry about that, and I know we all are. We've had great conversations and momentum in the House, and we thank many of these legislators for helping us move forward. But we know that in supporting there wasn't enough room in the larger budget this year for Bring It Home. But we are going to keep pushing and moving forward. We know the governor continues to be a champion for housing, but is yet to be an explicit supporter of Bring It Home. And the Senate hasn't given us a hearing nor supported much new investment in housing. So I am frustrated and angry that our state is not seizing the historic moment for housing to its fullest extent, and I'm sure you are too. But we know that when we started this campaign 3 years ago, that something this transformational that is working so that everyone can have a home can't happen overnight. It's going to take our hard work, our determination, and our continued advocacy year after year to make sure this happens. And so we are here to recommit. We are not going away. Are you going to keep fighting for Bring It Home? Yeah! We are not going to stop. So we're going to hear from our legislators, lived experience stories, and partners, and then take action today to continue moving forward on Bring It Home. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Rick Hansen.
We're all here today because we want Bring It Home Minnesota. What do we want? Bring it home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring it home. When do we want it? Now. One more time. What do we want? Bring it home. When do we want it? Now. That is right. Ooh, that felt good. Anybody else? Like, how long's been to a rally where you get cheers like that? My friends, I'm really excited that now we have an opportunity to hear from some of our legislative champions, and I am proud. Please put your hands together one more time as loud as you can for Chief Author of Bring It Home in the House from Richfield, Minnesota, and beautiful House District 50A, Mr. Michael Howard.
Good afternoon. That does feel good. Doesn't it feel good to be outside together in the sun here on the Capitol steps? I am proud to be the chief author of the Bring It Home bill. And today, the first thing I want to do is express gratitude to all of you. Because when I signed on to this bill as the House author, we were starting a little project with a big idea. But because of your advocacy, your work, we have grown this campaign immensely. And that's why you see legislators from the House and the Senate, and there's dozens more that aren't even here today that have signed on as co-author to commit to make Bring It Home a reality. And more important than that, the underpinning values, which says that every single Minnesotan should have a safe and affordable place to call home. Bring It Home is a solution as big as the problem, as the sign says. And I firmly believe that there's not a single policy being addressed or debated at the Capitol that would do more to end homelessness than this one. As Ben said, more than 500,000 Minnesotans struggle with paying their rent every single month. And the question that I ask us is, let's imagine a world where every single Minnesotan could afford their rent. What would that mean? What would that mean for our kids in our schools? What would that mean for our economy, for our families, for the economic security? Because whether we're talking about the disparities in our schools, the health disparities, the economic disparities, all roads lead back to home. And Bring It Home is what offers the promise of the state where every single Minnesotan can afford their home. Now, as Ben said, Bring It Home is not included in this year's Omnibus housing bills. But I want to tell you what is included and how you've helped make it happen. This legislature is going to make the biggest investment in housing in the history of the state. Included in our bills is more than $100 million in direct rental assistance for Minnesotans, including for the first time in our tax bill, some emergency rental assistance. The largest investment in Homework Starts with Home to help our kids and our families who are struggling with housing stability. And in total, we're making more than $1 billion in investments from homelessness to the dream of home ownership. And I truly do not believe that we would be in the position to make these historic investments without your advocacy. But of course, we're scratching the surface, even with that historic $1 billion investment, because right now in our state, we make, when we look at our whole budget, 0.3% of our state budget goes to housing. 0.3%. We need to make game-changing investments. We can take steps this session, but we know that that work is not finished. And as I stand here today, I feel more energized than ever to continue this fight with you to make Minnesota a state where every single Minnesotan has access to an affordable home. And that's going to happen when we pass Bring It Home Minnesota.
That's right.
Thank you. Let's keep the faith and let's keep the fight.
One more time for Representative Howard, everybody. I am very excited to bring up to the microphone next the chief author of Bring It Home Minnesota in the Senate, Senator Kerry Dietzig from Senate District 60.
Hi everybody, thanks for being here today. I'm so glad it's sunny and we're not out here in the rain. I chose to be the chief author in this bill because, like everybody else up here, I believe that safe housing, safe, stable, affordable housing is just fundamental to everything we do. Like many of you probably know, that educational outcomes, health outcomes, and job opportunities increase when you have safe, stable, affordable housing. Yeah. Investing in housing is investing in people. We need to put people first and invest in people. So in the Senate, we have worked hard to get people to understand that there is really, truly a housing crisis. I think with all of your help, we understand now that we're at a crisis moment. That you have people working 2 jobs and they can't afford their rent. And that's just not sustainable. That just doesn't work. So the bill wasn't included in the Omnibus bill. We did discuss it when we heard the, quote, Omnibus bill. We're not calling them Omnibus bills in the Senate. So we did discuss it. And we, the senators, are committed to working to make sure that this goes forward. We need it to go forward. Yes. We need your help. You are so crucial and critical to getting this through. If you have friends and relatives in Winona, in Northfield, in Rochester, across the state, in Worthington and Laverne, we need you to have them call their senators and say, we would like to have this bill heard. We need the Bring It Home bill heard so that everybody can go home and have a home and have safe, affordable, stable housing. Can we get you to do that? Thank you. That is what it's going to take. We need you to have your friends and relatives call everybody they know to get them to call those senators to say, hear this bill. We need to invest in housing. As I said before, investing in housing is investing in people. And as my former boss, Senator Wellstone, said, we all do better when we all do better, and that starts with housing. Thank you.
Keep it going for Senator Dietzig, everybody. That's right. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Fantastic, everybody. I'm very excited to bring up Representative Esther Abaje.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Esther Abaje. I represent District 59B, which covers downtown Minneapolis and parts of North Minneapolis, and I'm very happy to be with you here today. Yes, give it up. So we all know and we all believe that everyone needs a safe place to live. We've heard already from our chief authors that this is a stabilizer for many families, and without it, we see so many negative things come from that. And I really love working with Beacon because it brings together people of faith from all across the religious spectrum. And we know that when we're living into our faith, when we're speaking truth to power, we're doing this because of our neighbors. And we live in a state of abundance. Minnesota has $9.2 billion in its surplus. We know what we can do with that money. And we need to invest in Minnesotans. We need to invest in people. And when we do that, we will see how successful our state can become. That's right. Housing is a fundamental, basic necessity. And if we are going to continue to say that it is a human right, then we need to treat it as such. And we need to ensure that we have the resources to help people move from shelter, people who are living outside, making sure we move them inside, and then also move them into permanent and stable, safe housing. This bill will be beneficial to everyone, and so many other bills that we have, like Representative Howard talked about, because so many Minnesotans are facing housing instability. People are worried, and that shows up in different places. It shows up in the workplace, it shows up in school, and it shows up even in public places, because people don't know where they're going to sleep at night. And so with all of your work, we have been doing the work to provide that urgency, to be able to provide that sense of stability for people who are struggling with their rent. And it is the least we can do to make sure that we get Minnesotans back on their feet. So as everyone said, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for your advocacy today. Keep up the fight, keep up the energy, keep up the momentum. It is working, and we need to hear from so many of you so that way as we continue our work in there, we know that you guys have our backs out here. Thank you.
Keep it going, everybody, for Representative Abaje. And now I'm very excited to bring up another housing champion and sponsor of Bring It Home, Representative Liz Ryer, everybody.
Hey everybody, like everyone else, I'm so happy for sunshine, I'm so happy for no icy wind, and I'm especially happy for all of you being here. Thank you all so much for today and for everything that you've been doing day in, day out, month in, year in, to make housing available to people. I honor you for your work. I also want to thank the organizers for this event. It doesn't happen by itself. Thank you so much, Beacon, and thanks to all of the organizations represented here. So participating as I do in the Housing and Preventing Homelessness committees, it's become clear to me that helping people with their rent is the single highest impact step that we can take to prevent the housing instability that we're seeing across our communities. It's the most elegant way. It's nimble, it's flexible, it adapts to whatever people's circumstances are. Back decades ago, it would have adapted to the circumstances I was in. When I was in my 20s, I was a single mom. I was in an abusive relationship. I went to shelter and got Section 8 housing. We all know that Section 8 is a lifeline, that vouchers and subsidies are a lifeline, the assistance people need. But guess what? Then when you stop being eligible, that's the next part of the story, and that's what I want to share with you today. Because happily, I graduated from college. I was able to go out on my own, let go of the supports, and suddenly was paying about 60% of my income for rent. People see that now. It's happening every day. I didn't have health care. I didn't have daycare money, all of those things, because when all the money goes to rent, then the rest of your life cannot be stable. The rest of your life cannot flourish, and it creates hard times. I will never forget that, and this work is a work of the heart for me, because I want everyone to have the benefits I had and to also not go through the challenges that I faced, even with the privilege that I brought to the situation and the timing when there wasn't a pandemic and people didn't have all of those extra layers of suffering. So that's why I stand so firmly for Bring It Home, and why I will always advocate for the type of help everyone needs to have safe, stable, affordable housing. And like my other fellow speakers, I am beyond frustrated that we look at the abundance around us and we dare say we can't afford to have people get the help they need with their rent. We can't afford it. We can't afford not to. Woo! And we are betraying the people of Minnesota if we don't step up. And I am so proud to be with so many legislators. We have 2 bills in the House because we have so much support for Bring It Home. Woo! So it helps all the problems that we've talked about. It takes care of, it helps people with mental health, with education, with their health care, all of the things that people need. And it also, the thing I don't understand about the resistance is that it also helps the landlord community, because they have the ability to then have people get market rate housing. So I don't understand why there is resistance, and we need to keep working together to make sure that that resistance is overcome, because they have the ear of the Senate majority, they have the ear of the House minority, and we need to make sure that the people have the ear of all of us and that we get this through. So thank you for your work. Thank you for your commitment to equity and justice and to housing for all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Representative Ryer. We have a few more legislators who have shown up while we were talking, so we want to make sure we acknowledge everyone, and hopefully I hit everyone. If I didn't, wave and we'll call you out. But Representative Rick Hansen is also here. Representative Steve Elkins, Representative Dave Pinto, Representative Cheryl Joachim, and Senator Mary Kunish. Did we get you all? Anyone else? Great. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, what do we want?
Bring it home.
And when do we want it? Thanks to champions like these on stage with me tonight, we are making waves in the state legislature, everybody. Can we actually, how many of you have done a wave? So when I point over here, we're going to go like this, right? I've never done this before. I'm going to try it. So when I go like this, you're all going to raise your hands when I point at you, okay? Who wants to make some waves here today at the state capitol? Who wants to make some waves today? All right, here we go. Ready? Here we go. Whoa, look at them go. And back again. Well, we're going to let our legislators, if you need to run to go make some waves at the Capitol, you are free to go and do that, my friends. And we want to say, once again, thank you for helping us bring it home, Minnesota. Feel free to stick around, but my friends, I am very excited. It's really important that all of our voices are heard, especially those who have been experiencing the housing crisis firsthand. And I am very excited to bring up Linda Stage, who is a resident of Aon, to share her story with us. Can you help me in bringing up Linda Stage, everybody?
Gotta get my glasses on. Hello, everyone. My name is Linda Stage, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Bring It Home Minnesota campaign. In 1996, I went through a very difficult divorce. It was an abusive relationship, and unfortunately, my husband took everything. All my retirement, all my savings, everything. And when he left, I could no longer afford the rent of the house where I was living. So I began to search for other housing options. And believe me, I looked. I was 61 at the time, and for senior housing, you had to be 62. My income wasn't great enough for market rate, which wants 3 times the rent. So it was hard. It was hard. I found a lot of waiting lists that were 2 and 3 years. Well, I had like 2 months. So, and the shelters were full, except for one that told me I could sleep on the floor for a week before I got to bed. So that was kind of hard. So I had no choice but to live out of my car. It was difficult. It was summer, which was fortunate. It didn't have the freezing cold, but I am on insulin, so it was very difficult to find a way to store my insulin that needs to be chilled. So, and you know, the seasons do change here, so I was kind of frantic about finding a place to live before it got too cold. Someone that at Aon knew that I was homeless and was able to get me into an Aon building, which was a godsend. I was in one of their market rate apartments, and it was really hard. I had $300 left at the end of the month to buy food, pay co-pays, car insurance, you know, everything that we all have to pay. I ended up having to sell my car, so that really helped. Cut down my spending, but really decreased my mobility. The Resident Connection team at Aon was able to get me into subsidized housing, and now I have so many more opportunities. I'm able to grow. I've become involved in volunteer groups, and I have friends. 2 of them are here.
Yes.
So this is, you know, wonderful. I have a place where I can store my medications. I have a place for my grandchildren to come.
Yes.
Where they can come and visit and stay all night and bake, and you know, it's wonderful. It's nice to be able to host them in my own safe space. and it's nice that they want to come. As a senior, my journey may not look like the face of homelessness, but here I am. I am only one person out of hundreds of thousands that experience housing instability due to health, domestic abuse, or mental illness. With legislation like Bring It Home Minnesota, we can help those that are going through the things that I did and make it easier for them to navigate the housing market. If it wasn't for Aon and my housing voucher, my life would still be in limbo. I'm extremely grateful for them. They have been a lifesaver. The legislation could change countless lives for the better. Senate Majority Leader Miller and Governor Walz, please meet with Bring It Home Minnesota. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I have 2 microphones now. Our stories are what connect us. Our stories are what change hearts and minds. And our stories, when we share them, are an act of courage and an act of power. Can we give Linda another round of applause, please? Thank you very much for sharing your story. And now I'm also excited for another powerful storyteller to come and share with us, Lynn Santa Caterina, to join us for her story today, everybody. One more time for Lynn.
Hello. Good afternoon. Well, as you said, my name is Lynn. Can you hear me? Lynn Sanchez, and I'm a St. Paul resident. I've lived here for decades. I've been a renter for decades. I've been employed for decades. Everything was more or less stable until a few years ago. Before the pandemic, I'd been trying to move for quite a while. I'd lived in one place. It ended up being 7 years. But it was really, really hard to find an affordable place. So I would look during the right seasons that I thought I could move in, never finding anything that looked like it was safe and affordable and not substandard. So kept on doing that, kept on working. And then in 2020, the pandemic hit, and I got laid off, like so many other people. I kind of held on the next few months, and then in the fall, I started looking again and found a place that I thought was going to be okay. It was seemingly better than where I was, had more, just felt more comfortable and seemed to be safe, and it was affordable. So I moved in just before Christmas in 2020. Only to find out a few months later that the owners weren't going to keep the duplex. I kind of had wind of it before I got the official word, but I got the official word after I was there for about 6 months. Well, needless to say, it was pretty crazy. I barely got there before I knew that I needed to think about how to leave. And in the meantime, my mother had died, and we had another family tragedy, so there was a lot that was coming in to my door. So last June, yes, it is last June or so, I started looking, and I started calling everybody I know who might know something, and I started posting things for, looking for rent. I started going everywhere I could, driving around, doing everything, even the things that people don't do all the time nowadays, but I just tried everything. By July, I was doing this 7 days a week because the clock was ticking. And I thought, since my landlord said I could leave before the lease was finished, I thought, okay, I'll try to leave before the snow flies. So I was looking every day, 7 days a week, just exhausted, 7 days a week, week after week, for about 8 or 10 weeks. Seeing places, calling and going to see places, and finding nothing that was affordable or even decent enough to rent. That's a whole other story. But finally, towards the end of August, I found something that seemed to be in a decent location for me and safe, and the landlord seemed responsible, and all the things were fitting, falling into place, except for the rent. The rent was, and is now, it's $245 more than I was paying, or have ever paid. But I thought, I have to go somewhere. I have nowhere else to go. I have to move. So I just took a leap of faith and moved over some time in the fall. And meanwhile, wasn't working yet because of all these different setbacks. Started looking again for work as the beginning of the year rolled around this year. Started getting, putting my application out, writing letters, networking with the people that I know. Had a couple interviews, but meanwhile, I don't have work yet. And at the same, so since January, I've been asking community programs to help me. I can't even tell you how hard this is. I can't tell you how hard it is to have to go and ask people for something so basic as your rent. I just don't have the words to try to say that in the few minutes I have here. But I'm trying to, I'm moving forward. I'm determined to put my best self forward. But as I do that, there's this constant worry about what if and my finances, as I watch the money dwindle. I live a very bare bones kind of life, but still have to eat and, put some little gas in the car and things like that. So I'm just asking today for everyone who can to please to give this bill support, because my story is mine and there's everyone's story is different, but living it what I have these last few months and year maybe has shown me things that I only knew about before from other people, and now I've known it more myself. And I can't say enough how the lack of feeling like you have a stable house and the worry that somehow you might not, it puts you through a test like nothing else. So I know that if this bill becomes law, that it'll change the situation I was in or am in, and it would change things for, like people have said, hundreds of thousands of Minnesotans. Because as you know, we have some of the highest rents in the country, and as far as I can tell, they're not going down. So I just hope that there'll be support so that people can live in dignity and be able to just have healthier Minnesota, healthier communities, just all around better health. And I thank you.
Let's all give Lynn another round of applause for that powerful story. Thank you, Lynn. I'm back with more legislators to thank. We have more champions up here from the Senate. We've gotten out. We have Senator Mary Kanush, Senator Lindsay Port, Senator Aaron Murphy, Senator Scott Dibble, Senator John Marty, and Senator Melissa Winklin. So thank you all for being huge supporters of Bring It Home Minnesota. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Say it with me one more time. What do we want?
Freedom!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Freedom!
And when do we want it?
Now!
That's right. We are here today for Lynn, for Linda, for people in our lives, for people in our faith communities, for people all across the state of Minnesota, because we need Bring It Home Minnesota. 2 years ago, I started working for Beacon Interfaith Housing Collaborative, and there's so much to learn about housing, but I'm so very lucky to have somebody at the helm of our ship here at Beacon who has taught me so much and who's been a fierce advocate for housing for decades. Somebody who brings so much heart and experience and passion to this work. Everybody, please put your hands together for the president and CEO of Beacon Interfaith Housing Collaborative, Lee Blondes.
Good afternoon. It's so great to see all of you gathered here. I want to tell you a little bit of a story of my son when he was young. He was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and he was figuring out kind of what it was that I do for a job. And he's telling my husband that my job is most important, more important than my husband's job, because I help people, which is a wonderful, warm feeling. But my husband's a psychologist. So my husband wanted to explain, well, Mom helps people on the outside and I help people on the inside. And my son Tyrone thought about it for a minute, and only like our own children can do, kind of rolled his eyes and said, Dad, when you help people on the outside, you also help them on the inside. And so I believe that Bring It Home Minnesota is not just a housing solution, it's a mental health solution. It's an education solution. It's a healthcare solution and a workforce solution. We spend so much money at the state for healthcare and for education, very important things. But if someone does not have a stable home, that money can go to waste. We need the foundation of a stable home. We talk about people with lived experience, and I want to thank our speakers. But I want to acknowledge my lived experience, which is that I have an affordable home. And I know what that has meant to me and my family. And as a homeowner, I also know that I get more subsidy through the mortgage interest deduction than we do provide through our Section 8 federal rent subsidy. So we spend more money as a nation subsidizing people, once again, not me, but people who make more than $200,000 a year than we do people who make less than $25,000 a year. And we need to rectify that wrong. So we've had many people say, well, isn't rent subsidy Section 8 a federal issue? So go solve it in Washington, D.C. Well, we know how many things are getting solved in Washington, D.C., right? So we have said we will solve it here in Minnesota. We will be the pioneers that show that a rent subsidy is what everyone should be able to walk in and say, here is my income, here is my rent, and we make up the difference. And as one of our legislators said, it is a win-win for both tenants and landlords. We believe that when we all have a home we can afford, we all benefit as a community. Beacon, as a collaborative of 100 congregations, has been saying for a long time, we know that we have the resources in our affluent society for all of us to have an affordable home. And now we have a $9 billion surplus. So we all know it is absolutely true, and it could happen this year. So we call on the governor. We thank our supportive legislators, but we need a majority of our legislators to support Bring It Home now. Bring It Home is very simple, but it takes a big commitment. It does cost over $1 billion a year, and that's, as many of you are holding the signs, right? We need a solution that is as big as the problem. So some people get sticker shock, $1 billion a year, but it's because 550,000 Minnesotans don't have an affordable place to live. So now we scale the solution to the problem. And so we are so proud to stand with our colleagues, with our congregations, with our allies, to bring it home. Bring it home. When do we want it? Now. Let me turn it back over. Thank you so much.
One more time for Lead Blondes, everybody. To pass Bring It Home Minnesota, we're going to need a coalition that's statewide, from St. Paul all the way to Winona to Red Wing to the Granite City of St. Cloud, my beautiful hometown, because this is an issue that affects everyone in our state, and we have a growing coalition of partners. I am very excited to bring up our next speaker from ACER, the organizing manager, Leah Tucker, everybody.
There is so much passion in this cause, and that is just the fuel that we need. It sure is. Woo! I'm very happy to be here. Thank you guys so much. This is a cause that ACER strongly believes in, and we're proud to stand with Bring It Home. Housing is a human rights issue. It is not a Republican, Democrat, or Independent Party issue. And it is certainly not just an issue pertaining to the rich or the poor. The current housing stability crisis is one that is a humanitarian issue. And as such, it requires the effort of all. Coming out of a pandemic into the current high cost of living, that's due to the inflation, it is pivotal that we look to our leaders, our advocates, and our neighbors. to exhaust every channel necessary to ensure that our current housing crisis is addressed promptly. Not next year, not 10 years from now. We need efficient solutions and driving force to bring it home. Exactly. Woo! So now is the time for elected officials to heed the concerns of their constituents rather than that of party affiliation. A problem as big as this requires a substantial solution. Time is of the essence, as we all know, as this is a matter of life and death for many of Minnesotans, so we cannot wait. And we need to fight to ensure that every Minnesotan receives the rent support that they need. If this issue is not addressed promptly and efficiently, I want to plead to Governor Walz, our leaders in the Senate, as well as our House, that we will see that the current housing crisis is sure to bleed into other aspects of the lives of countless Minnesotans. And that is a bigger situation that we have the ability to resolve right now. Woo! With the awareness of the consequences of inaction to adequately address this problem, I want to call on Governor Walz and our House majority and minority leaders, as well as those who support this important cause, to provide lasting solutions to the 550,000 Minnesotans across the state who are living in cost-burdened housing. The Bring It Home campaign has played a pivotal role in the push for rent support, as you all have as well. And I want to stand here today and in support of all the individuals that are often just labeled a number. 550,000 is not just the numbers. Those are stories, as we've heard here. Those are actual families who are in dire need of support. So we don't want to just come and advocate for numbers. We want to advocate for lives. So the African Career Education and Resources, ACER Inc., we work with the BIPOC community, minority sectors in the Brooklands. We work with families on housing justice issues, and we've seen helping them with eviction notices and all of that. And there is a crisis, and we don't want to address it as a problem or a situation. It is a crisis that needs dire need solutions, which the Bring It Home campaign, this effort, has the ability to solve. That's what we want to tell Governor Walz. That's what we want to tell Jerry Miller, that it is not just an idea. It is an adequate solution for the timing that we're in. So until that is done, we will not stop. This campaign is not one that we're just here to advocate for and then move on to the other one. No, this is a solid foundation for years to come. So I want to advocate, and we want to push, we want to continue the fight. And the fire, I want to plead to you all, to your family members, to everyone that you know, to not let that fire die down. It is actually only starting. So I will speak for myself. I am geared up. I am ready. I am not letting this fight go down until this solution that we have, because it's a solution. We are legit bringing a solution to them. And we want them, the leaders and those who are elected to serve and to look at these problems and solutions that we've placed forward, and to say, yes, it can be done, because we know that it can be done. It is not a matter of whether it can or cannot. We know that it can. So we just need actions to be taken. So we're ready. ACER is, in partnership with Bring It Home, we're ready to come to the table. Our residents, community members, leaders, advocates, we're ready to push forward. And we won't stop until rent support for all is a certainty. So thank you all, and woo!
Keep it going for Salia Tucker from ACER, everybody. And would you please help me keep it going for Steve Hortsfield from Simpson Housing, everybody.
Thank you very much. My name is Steve Hortsfield. I serve as Executive Director with Simpson Housing Services, and I'm here to support the proposed statewide rental subsidy program that we call Bring It Home Minnesota. At Simpson, we work directly with individuals and families who are experiencing homelessness. Using a variety of available resources, our amazing staff assist more than 1,000 households each year who are getting stabilized back in housing. The associated trauma and impact of these episodes of homelessness is terrible, and we have developed a really robust system to respond to these episodes. The problem that keeps me up at night is not the 20,000 or so folks that are experiencing homelessness right now. We've got across the state a lot of agencies doing work similar to Simpson that is resolving those crises. The problem is that for every single one of those people, there are 25 people in Minnesota, 25 Minnesotans who are cost burdened and who are unstably housed. So that as the net result of that is all this great work that's happening across the state at agencies like mine is that we are moving somebody into housing, someone else is losing housing down the street, and they're showing up at the door of our shelter. Week in, week out, we are managing this problem. And when we talk about solutions and we talk about crises, I thank you very much for using the right terms. How did we get here? These are choices. These are choices that we have made or have not made over the last 40 years. Everything that we see right now around homelessness, you know, we wring our hands and say, my goodness, how did we get here? We got here through cutting 80% out of the federal housing budget for subsidized housing 40 years ago. Never put a dime back in it. How did that happen? We got here by coming up with a solution, quote unquote, to a terrible problem, which was state mental hospitals back in the 70s that absolutely needed to be solved. However, the solution in terms of community response never was implemented. So we have our safety net systems have failed horribly, and now is the time.
That's right.
We have an opportunity with the significant surplus in our state budget this year to take bold action on this most vital component of our state infrastructure, housing. We talk about Band-Aids, we talk about a lot of things similar to what we've done in the past, about rebate checks, about a discount on gas at the pump this summer. I don't need that. What I need is access to safe and sustainable housing for everyone in this state. Thank you very much. Thank you for supporting Bring It Home.
One more time for Steve Hortsfield, everybody. My friends, we are here today to show our support for transformative legislation that would drastically improve the lives of hundreds of thousands of Minnesotans across the state. But we are also here today to deliver a message, a very special message to Senate Majority Leader Jeremy Miller and to Governor Tim Walz. Over the last 2 years, we have had 2 meetings with House Majority Leader Melissa Hortman. We've also had multiple hearings in the House for Bring It Home Minnesota. In February, leaders from across the Beacon Collaborative and our coalition met with over 40 elected leaders between the House and the Senate with this call to action. We need an investment into housing that matches the size, scope, and scale of this crisis, and we need it. When do we need it? When do we need it? And we are going to tell them today that now is the time to make historic investments into housing in this state. So in a couple of minutes, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you all to come up behind me. We have 2 giant cards. Nestor, why don't you hold up this giant card? This one is going to go to Senator Jeremy Miller. This one is going to go to Governor Tim Walz. What we're going to do is you're all going to come up here and sign these, and then we're going to break off into 2 groups, and we're going to go deliver a message today, aren't we? Nestor and Nancy are going to be leading 2 groups, one to Jeremy Miller's office, one to Governor Tim Walz's office, and we're going to hand deliver this message that we need Bring It Home Minnesota, and we need it now. Before I close, I wanted to say a couple of words, though, about what I believe in. I believe in Bring It Home Minnesota. How many of you believe in Bring It Home? Woo! I believe in Bring It Home Minnesota. I believe that no matter where we live, whether it's urban, rural, or suburban, no matter where or how we worship, no matter our race, our gender identity, or who we love, today we are gathered around a shared belief that the world can be radically different when we show up for it. I believe that connected to each other and to every single one of us gathered here today, whether it's through our families, our friends, our faith communities, or for those whom our hearts beat, there are thousands of Minnesotans across this state who are ready to stand up with us as we continue to show up for a state where all people have a home. I believe that it is our sacred obligation to challenge the hurtful narratives of fear and scarcity with a new story for Minnesota, a new story that we are called to write together. This is a story of how Minnesota came together in the midst of a historic pandemic with one voice raised in joyful urgency that a new way is possible. We have enough right here to end the devastation of housing insecurity and homelessness. Can I get an amen? I believe that hope is a verb. I believe that hope is a verb, and my heart is filled with hope when I look out and see so many individuals, faith communities, public partners, and elected champions rallying for the transformative legislation in Bring It Home Minnesota. We are gathered together in common cause and shared purpose. This is how we win. You being here is how we win. Bringing others with us is how we win. And so before we go and deliver our message of hope and transformation to two of the most powerful offices in our state capitol, I want you to repeat after me. I believe. I believe that we. I believe that we will win. 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 I believe that we will win because we believe in each other, my friends. We believe in our neighbors. We believe in a better future for the state that we love. The time is now for us to bring it home, Minnesota. Today we deliver that message to the Senate Majority Leader and to the Governor of Minnesota. And tomorrow we will continue to grow this campaign. We will continue to write this story of Minnesota and how we showed up for home when we were needed most. Thank you all very much. We're going to gather on the steps right now for a photo before we send out and sign these letters. So would you please gather on the front steps here? We're going to take a big picture, and we're going to make sure that we're all in this together.